Dear friends, I am Ajish Satyan. Welcome to my channel Ajish in England or Ajish in English Land. This is the second video in the History of English Literature series. In this video, we are going to discuss mainly about the Middle English period, but without understanding the Anglo-Norman period, we can move on further. The Anglo-Norman period. The Anglo-Norman literature is the literature composed in the Anglo-Norman language developed during the period 1066 to 1204 when the Duchy of Normandy and the Kingdom of England were united in the Anglo-Norman realm. The Normans that invaded England in 1066 came from Normandy in France. However, Normans were originally Vikings from Scandinavia. The land became known as Northmania, meaning the land of the Northmen, which was later shortened to Normandy. The Norman conquest is an important change in English history. The Battle of Hastings was significant in Norman conquest, as in this battle William the Conqueror defeated the last Anglo-Saxon king Harold. William was a distant cousin of Edward. King Edward had promised him the throne when visiting France in 1051, but Harold became the king after Edward's death. William invaded England, which became king, and he claimed the throne from Harold. Now we can move on to the Middle English period. The Middle English was spoken in England from 100 AD to about 1500 AD. It was much easier than the Old English. In the Middle English literature, apart from poetry and prose, the plays, a new genre in literature, also appeared. The Middle English poetry. The greatest poet of this period was Geoffrey Chaucer, often called the father of English poetry. He is one of the most skillful and attractive English writers of the entire history of English literature. His great work was the Canterbury Tales, which is in about 17,000 lines. It is a collection of stories told by pilgrims on a pilgrimage to Canterbury Cathedral. There are 24 stories, but the descriptions of the characters are much more important than their stories. They represent the English life and various professions like the knight, the merchant, the lawyer, the cook, the priest, and the plowman. Chaucer's characters are true to life and they represent their own class and profession. One of the most enjoyable characters is Wife of Bath. Chaucer also wrote Troilus and Cressida and the Legend of Good Women. Another poet of Chaucer's time was William Langland, who wrote The Vision of Piers the Plowman. It looks a lot older than Chaucer's rhymed verse, though they are contemporary writers. The characters in this poem are not as real as Chaucer's. Langland sadly says in his poem how most people prefer the false treasures of this world than the true treasures of heaven. It describes the sorrows of the poor in alliterative lines. This alliteration can be seen in another poem as well as in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. It is a story relates to the legend of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. The next is Middle English prose. The Middle English prose. Mostly the Middle English prose was religious in nature. The Anchorage is a prose work mainly written for religious women. It tells them a lot about the rules of life. Another work, The Form of Perfect Living, was also written by Richard Rolle, probably in 13th century. He is very noted for his prose style and his works are important in the history of prose. John Wycliffe, who was a priest, made the Bible available for the common man. He translated the Bible from Latin to English. His attack at the religious ideas could no longer be tolerated, so he had to leave Oxford. He believed that Everyone ought to be allowed to read Bible, but the problem was that it was written in Latin and uneducated people could not read it. That is why he arranged the production of the whole Bible in English. He himself translated some part of it into English. Another important prose work is Morte d'Arthur, Middle English play. The first English plays, called miracle or mystery plays, were religious and were performed in or near the churches. The subject matter of such plays was biblical, such as the disobedience of Adam and Eve, Noah and the great flood, Abraham and Isaac, events in the life of Christ, and so on. They were acted by people of the town on the wheeled stages so that they could be moved it everywhere and the play could be shown in different parts of the town. Though the miracles were serious and religious in intention, English comedy grew out of them. Miracle plays were followed by morality plays. There is no vast difference between these plays. The hero of the morality play always represents mankind, and the other characters are not people. They represent the abstract qualities like truth, beauty, evil, and greed, and so on. One of the best examples of such play is Everyman. It is a story of the end of every man's life. When death calls every man, he has to go to face death. At this time, all his friends leave him, except good deeds. These plays taught Christian morality to the uneducated. The interlude is the kind of short, funny, and humorous play which was common in the late 15th and early 16th centuries, were acted away from the church. Such plays were often acted between the acts of long morality plays or between the courses of a feast. Professional actors in colleges or rich men's houses or gardens showed these little dramas. The best example of it is the Four Piece, which was written by John Haywood. Now please see the whole slideshow at a time for revision.